Want to know the latest in soccer? Then listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast. From MLS, the World Cup, and the Premier League, we've got you covered. The latest updates, the hottest matches, and news on the league's top players. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast.
David Beckham scores the goal to take England all the way to the World Cup Finals.
Listen now.
Welcome into the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast, where we discuss everything there is to know in the world of soccer, from the summer's hottest transfers to the top games and competitions. Where, Alex?
All around the world.
That's right. I'm Ben.
I'm also Alex, the one he just said, though.
Yeah, the only Alex here.
Yeah, that's me.
And we are going to be discussing everything soccer in this podcast. We have a lot of great content for your listening pleasure.
Yeah, man, let's kick it.
Let's kick it off.
We're going to start with the Champions League, talk about that a little bit, get into the Europa League as well, talk obviously transfers and everything that Ben loves to take care of. Transfer deadline is Wednesday.
Yes. Coming up, couple days.
Yeah, a couple days. It's currently Monday. And we're talk results from this weekend's action in multiple leagues and some friendlies and some World Cup qualifiers. And Ben and I will also like to tell you that we changed our schedule a bit. Mondays are now the soccer day. Once a week, right?
Yeah.
Once a week still.
Maybe we'll do 2 a week. We'll have to talk it over.
So once a week on Mondays. Now, yeah, Ben and I will talk it over. We'll see how that goes.
I prefer Monday, though, because it's right after the weekend, so you can talk about some of the games over the weekend. It's a lot more relevant.
Yeah, it keeps it relevant. And we're changing up our schedule in general here, so we're doing multiple shows of other styles. But soccer is still important, so we're making sure that stays.
Yes, absolutely.
But let's get into Champions League.
Let's
start there. So we have the Champions League draw that was set. Ben kind of mentioned it on our sports show on Thursday. Was that Thursday?
Yeah, the Champions League group stage draw was on Thursday.
Why don't you get them up to date with the groups? How about this? We go every other. You start with A, I'll do B, do C, I'll do D. How about that?
Okay, and then we'll do like
we'll go through H.
Okay, and we'll do like sort of discussion about them.
Yeah, I'll let you head into that. I mean, it's purely.
Head into that, huh?
Yeah. I'll let purely. Let's get them, up to date with who is in what group.
Okay, so in Group A, we have the French champions, Paris Saint-Germain. They are the top group in Group A. We have Arsenal from the Premier League coming in Group A as well. Then we have Basel. It's a Swiss league. And then we have Ludogorets from Bulgaria in Group A.
This is true. Sorry, I just pressed something and made me jump back a page. So going into Group B, as it loads, we have Benfica.
They are the Portuguese champions.
We have Napoli from Italy. We have Dynamo Kyiv from Ukraine. And this is a Turkish team. I don't know if I'm going to say this. Besiktas.
There you go.
Let's try it.
Doing good.
Excuse me. Okay, Group C. That's Group B. So on
Group C, in my opinion, definitely one of the stronger groups. We have Barcelona, obviously the Spanish champions. We have Manchester City. So we have sort of a reunion, a rivalry there. Pep Guardiola used to manage Barcelona, now managing Manchester City. So they will be obviously heading off and having 2 games there, Pep Guardiola and Manchester City against Barcelona. So then we have Borussia Mönchengladbach. And then we have Celtic. They are from Scotland.
They are. Moving to Group D, and one of my favorite teams of all time, Bayern Munich of the German Bundesliga. We have Atletico Madrid out of Spain, PSV out of the Netherlands, and Rostov from Russia in Group D.
Yep. And then Group E, we have CSKA Moscow. They are the Russian champions. We have Bayer Leverkusen from the German Bundesliga. We have Tottenham from the BPL. And then we have Monaco from the French League in the Champions League after missing out last year.
Mm-hmm. All right, moving to Group F, another really strong group. We have Real Madrid.
The defending
European
champions
from Spain. Borussia Dortmund from the Bundesliga as well in Germany, Sporting CP from Portugal, and Legia from Poland.
Yes. And then moving on to Group G, we have Leicester City, the reigning English champions. We have Porto from Portugal. We have Club Brugge from Belgium. And then Copenhagen from Denmark.
Club Brugge just sounds like a really cool nightclub.
It does, huh?
Are we going to Club Brugge tonight?
Like we're going downtown to Bruges.
Yeah, where are you going? Where are you at? Bruges. I'm at Bruges. Sounds cool. All right, closing it out, the 8th and final group is Group H. 8H. We have Juventus, the Italian powerhouse, Sevilla from Spain, Lyon from France, and Dynamo Zagreb from Croatia. Is that what that is?
Yep.
All right. Wow. I didn't know Croatia had a team up in here.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Dynamo Zagreb. Yeah, it's Group H. That closes out the groups. Ben and I, of course, think Group C, F, and I would say D probably are the strongest groups in this draw so far, I would say.
You know, I'd also say Group H. So you have you have Juventus. You obviously have the Italian champions. They were in the Champions League final 2 years ago, having lost out to Barcelona. You have Sevilla, who are the 3-time reigning Europa League champions. Mm-hmm. I think they're not necessarily as strong as they were last year. Lost some guys, lost their manager, so that's going to take a hit. And then you have Lyon, who finished second in the French league last year, off to a great start this year. Alexander Lacazette really banging in a lot of goals. And then you have Dinamo Zagreb, who have been a Croatian powerhouse for the last few years. A lot of great players as well. In that group, I definitely think Juve will go through. And I'm going to throw in Lyon right now.
Okay.
But yeah, as you mentioned, I think Group C, Group D, and then
F.
really Group F maybe.
You don't like Real Madrid and Borussia Dortmund's chances here? I think
Real
Madrid
those two
is the defending champ.
I think those two are definitely going through. I think it's going to be tough for Sporting Lisbon and Legia to really compete. Some of the easy groups, I think really that the Barclays Premier League, the English top flight, caught a lot of breaks here. I really expect every team out of the BPL to go through.
Yeah, you have Arsenal in Group A, like we said. You have Leicester in Group G, Man City in Group C alongside Barcelona. But you have, you mean besides Barcelona there, PSG in Group A, like Leicester, I would say is probably
I think Leicester will even win their group.
I think they can win their group, yeah. So you have in Group A and Group C, really, you have PSG ahead of Arsenal there. Arsenal probably being the second best team there, and Man City following Barcelona. I think Mönchengladbach is a little bit better than maybe say the third team in Group A there, but I still think you're right. Yeah, they definitely lucked out. I mean, they could have very well ended up in, say, Arsenal ended up in Group D with Bayern Munich and Atletico Madrid. I mean, then you have an uphill battle. But I think you're right. They did end up in much more of a position in which they can advance easier.
Yeah, even Group E with Tottenham Hotspur, they're in there with CSKA Moscova and Bayer Leverkusen and Monaco.
Yeah,
that is somewhat of a tough group. Every team could be competitive, but honestly, I think Tottenham will probably win that group.
I can see that. Yeah,
I think they're definitely the best team in that group, depending on how they line up. Last year in the Europa League, they kind of gave it away, in my opinion, to Borussia Dortmund there. So I think if Tottenham really come out with a strong side, I could see them honestly winning that group. But like I said, I think all the teams from England got really beneficial draws. When you look at Group A with Arsenal, the really only tough test, in my opinion, is Paris Saint-Germain. And they really aren't as strong as they have been the last couple of years. I think they took a hit this year, so they're still sort of developing. I could see Arsenal definitely finishing at least second in that group. Man City in Group C with Barcelona those two should be able to get through, no worries. And then Group G, Leicester got Porto, Club Brugge, and Copenhagen. That's a really, really easy draw.
Yeah, I could see them just winning that one hands down. And I missed Tottenham. They're sneaky in there. Typically, most of these guys were 1 or 2 on their list.
It's okay.
Down 3.
I always never mention Tottenham anyway. So
yeah, you always miss the Hotspurs.
Yeah,
you always leave them out, Ben.
It's okay. And then moving on to the Europa League, we also had the Europa League draw. So the Europa League not nearly as high, of a European competition as the Champions League, but it is still European football. So in Group A we have Manchester United from England, we have Fenerbahce from Turkey, we have Feyenoord from the Netherlands, and then Zorya Luhansk from Ukraine.
You said that very nice.
I know, I try,
Shall I go for Group B?
Let's do it.
There's more groups in this one for sure.
Yeah, it's a lot more. The pool's a lot more filled.
Yeah.
So
Olympiacos is a Greek team. They have in Group B. Apoel, where are they from?
not really sure.
CYP. I don't know what that is. I feel like that's the Republic of somewhere. I don't know. Young Boys. It's one of the more unique teams in soccer and football in general. It looks like they are from Sweden. And then Astana is at Kazakhstan. That's my guess. KAZ. Moving on to Group C, Ben.
Yeah, Group C, we have Anderlecht from Belgium. We have Saint Etienne from France. We have Mainz from Germany.
Etienne.
Oh, I'm sorry, Etienne.
I mean, maybe.
Mr. Etienne over here. We have Mainz from Germany. We have Karabakh from Azerbaijan.
Wow. Got that one. So we have in Group D Zenit from Russia, AZ from the Netherlands, Tel Aviv from Israel, and Dundalk from Ireland.
Yes. And then Group E, we have Victoria Plens from the Czech Republic. We have Roma from Italy. Definitely a team I think could really compete for this. We have Austria Wien from Austria, obviously, and we have Astra Giorgio from Romania.
You having a guess on all of these? Yeah, maybe.
Well, some of these names are hard. You know what I mean?
I know.
They're quite difficult.
Believe me, I have some coming up. We have Athletic from Spain, Genk from Belgium, or Genk, Rapid Wien from
Austria.
Isn't Austria AUS? AUT, that's where, okay. And Sassuolo from Italy.
Yeah, Group G, we have Ajax from the Netherlands.
I like to call them Ajax, just like the dish
The
soap.
soap. Then we have Standard Liège from Belgium. We have Celta Vigo from Spain. And then Panathinaikos from Greece.
I believe that's Panathinaikos. Yeah, Greek. Okay, Group H is Shakhtar Donetsk from the Ukraine, Braga from Portugal, Gent or Ghent again, same as Genk or Genk from Belgium, and Konyaspor from Turkey.
And then Group I, we have Schalke
You know
from
the German ones, man.
Schalke.
I can say those.
We have Schalke from Germany. We have Salzburg from Austria. We have Krasnodar from Russia. And then we have Nice from France.
In Group J, we have, it seems weird going on with a J, Fiorentina from Italy. We have Pouk from Greece. We have Liberec from Czech Republic, I believe.
Yep.
And
have fun with this one.
Where is that place?
Kabbalah?
No, Karabaj, I think. But where is that?
Azerbaijan?
Never heard of that place.
Really? You never heard of Azerbaijan?
Maybe seeing it spelled out, I would know it. But yeah, Karabag, maybe. Have fun with this one. This is a long Italian name.
Okay.
Like, Italian is hard because the emphasis is on certain letters.
This one's a lot easier than you think. So Group K, we have Inter Milan.
Oh, dang it.
We have Inter Milan, obviously from Italy. We have Sparta Praha from the Czech Republic. We have Southampton from England. And then we have Hapoel Beersheva from...
Man, it's been a long time since I've seen an England name on here.
From Israel.
All right, and then ending on Group L. Man, that just seems weird, getting all the way to L. Villarreal from Espanyol from Spain. Steaua from...
Romania,
yeah. There's a U in Romania? ROU, I don't know. I'm not gonna say where that is. Zurich from Switzerland and Osmanlispor from Turkey.
Yeah, so who are some of your favorites? Some of mine are Manchester United. I'll say Roma, and I'll say Inter Milan.
Yeah, Roma, Manchester United, Inter Milan. For the like of me, I want to say I think that the team Young Boys is going to take it all, but I don't think so. But no, yeah, Roma for sure. Man U, obviously, I'm a big Man U fan. Schalke from Germany, I could see them getting some play time, some action, and then Inter Milan. Other than that, I'm not hugely familiar with a lot of these teams.
Yeah, a lot of these teams really not nearly as high profile as some of the others. So
this is going to be a surprise to you, but I have never heard of Karabakh. So
okay.
I can't quite comment on how I think they're going to play.
Well, that's okay. We'll have to wait and see, and we'll always update you here at the Golden State Media Concept Soccer Podcast. But with that being said, we're going to take our first break here at the Golden State Media Concept Soccer Podcast. Coming out of the break, we're going to be talking about transfers over the week. There's been a lot of big-name ones leading up to the transfer deadline on Wednesday. So we'll be right back here, the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
And we're back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Soccer Podcast. We're going to get into some transfer news. Ben, are you ready for that?
I'm always ready. Are you ready?
I'm always ready. So
Okay.
I'm gonna name them. You're going to give us just a quick little insight on it, okay?
Let's do it.
So, Shakran Mustafi from Valencia is heading to Arsenal,
Yes.
along with Lucas Perez, heading straight there with him. What do you have to say about this?
So Shakadra Mustafi, the center back from Valencia, he's moving over to Arsenal. It's definitely a need. They do have Per Mertesacker and Gabriel injured at that position. They've been rolling with Rob Holding alongside Laurent Koscielny. He's done quite well in 2 games paired with Koscielny, has Holding, the young 20-year-old. He's done quite well, but obviously Mustafi a lot more experienced.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he played with German at the European Championships, so he's a lot more experienced, going to fill that need right away. Going to be pairing him up with Laurent Koscielny. I'd say definitely one of the better center back pairings in the Premier League. You know, he does have some ties with Germany, Mesut Ozil there, Per Mertesacker, as I mentioned. So he did say that Ozil was the one who convinced him to join Arsenal. So definitely some chemistry already there. And then you move over to Lucas Perez, coming over from Deportivo. Arsenal activated his transfer release clause over the weekend, which is about
£17 million.
Yeah, £17 million. He did quite well last year for Deportivo in La Liga. He scored 17 goals. He had 8 assists as well. I don't really know much about him. I know that he's just really a left-footed striker. Seems to have a lot of pace, a pretty good work rate for the ball, someone who's going to attack the ball. So maybe he can be kind of like a Jamie Vardy this year.
You sure like that name, don't you?
Someone who can attack the ball and try and win the ball back, use his pace to get behind players and get through balls from the midfield.
Okay, now what do you have to tell me about Calum Chambers?
So Callum Chambers is going.
Thank you.
He's going on loan from Arsenal to Middlesbrough.
Yes, he is.
He's a young central defender. He can also play on the fullback position, maybe even central midfield. So Arsenal was not planning on giving him much experience this year. He did start the season with Holding in that 4-3 loss to Liverpool, and he hasn't played since. So hopefully at Middlesbrough he can get a lot more first-team action, play a lot in the Premier League. Middlesbrough is in the Premier League this year after just getting promoted. So Arsenal hoping that he can get some first-team action and hopefully be a player for the future.
Okay. Moving to another team in the Premier League, and that is, well, I'll tell you in a second. Of course, I don't want to ruin the surprise. Islam Slimani is heading from Sporting Lisbon to Leicester City.
Yeah, so it looks like it's going to be a record signing, about £30 million. Slimani coming over, the Algerian from Sporting Lisbon, that striker role for Leicester City. Really surprised at this move. They already added Ahmed Musa this year, which was already a record signing. He's also a striker from Nigeria. So you pair him up with Jamie Vardy. Leicester likes to run a 2-striker formation. You already have Shinji Okazaki. You have Ahmed Musa, and now you throw in Slimani. So you have 4 strikers there. I'm not really sure what they're going to do with that. You know, it doesn't really happen very much. So
Well, they have a midfielder joining them as well from Sporting Lisbon, and that's Adrian Silva.
Yeah, Adrian Silva makes a lot more sense. He's going to go right into that midfield role. I see him doing a lot of what N'Golo Kante did for them last year. Not necessarily as much high of a work rate as Kante, but a guy who can cover kind of box-to-box there in that midfield. Pair him up with Danny Drinkwater, who just signed a new deal at Leicester last week. So
Such a good name.
Drinkwater, I love it.
Yeah. All right, moving to Sofiane Boufal. It looks like he's heading to Southampton.
Yeah, he's a winger from Lille. He's coming over, and he's really just kind of trying to bolster that Southampton squad. Southampton, a team that's known a lot of times for bringing in young talent, developing them, and then selling them. Think about what they've done over the past couple of years. Sold Sadio Mane this year. They just sold Graziano Pelle to China. Nathaniel Klein. A lot of great people. And Morgan Schneiderlin as well last year to Man United. So maybe he can be the next guy, Buffal. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. He has to develop at Southampton first.
And he heads over there, £16 million at the club record.
Yeah.
All right, moving. We're pretty much staying put here in the Premier League for the most part, obviously.
Early on, yeah. There's a lot more. But
Early on. Okay. Moving to the next one. Nasser Chadi from Tottenham is heading to West Brom.
Yeah, also he's going to be moving about 12 to 13 million pounds is the reported fee. Moving over from Tottenham to West Brom, he's going to get a lot more first-team action at West Brom. He didn't really play too much at Tottenham, kind of a guy who came off the bench. So hopefully for West Brom, a team that's somewhat middle, bottom of the table the last few years in the Premier League, he can add some bonus out on that left-hand winger midfield side.
Okay, and now we're moving on to Simone Zaza on loan from Juventus. Give me some news about him.
Well, Zaza, we all know him for his infamous penalty miss in the European Championships against Germany, the Italian. For West Ham, this is a move they absolutely needed. He is on loan, but they do have the option to buy him for about 20 million euros. So I think it really depends on how he does, but they do need this attacking threat. You look at people like Dimitri Payet, he's out with an injury. Andy Carroll is going to be out about 4 to 6 more weeks. Andre Ayew, who they just signed in the offseason for a record transfer, he's injured as well. They need attacking options. Zaza is going to definitely be that person. They just really can't score goals right now.
All right. We have a lot of Sporting Lisbon news, and
they're all over the map today.
Yeah, João Mario, Sporting Lisbon, Mario, how do you want to say it? He's heading to Inter Milan, I believe.
Yeah,
that's correct.
About 45 million euros. It's a huge transfer. Yeah. Inter Milan making news because they're also bringing in Gabriel Santos, a.k.a. Gabigol, from Santos in Brazil. He just won a gold medal with Germany. Not with Germany. He won a gold medal with Brazil over Germany. That's what I meant to say.
That in.
So yeah, he just won a gold medal there with Brazil. He's young. He's 19. Is Gabigol. He's going to fill in really nicely with Inter Milan. And then João Mario just won the European Championship with Portugal. So they're bringing in a lot of experience, guys who were really busy this summer winning championships for their respective countries. And Inter Milan really trying to be that team that can maybe bump up in the Italian league and maybe challenge Juventus somehow, some way. I don't see it happening, but they are bringing in a couple of good players.
All right. Well, keeping out of the Premier League to finish off these transfer rumors, is Jasper Cillessen. He's heading to Barcelona.
Yeah, the Ajax goalkeeper, the Dutchman. He's heading into Barcelona. Really, this is a move because Barcelona are selling Claudio Bravo, the Chilean goalkeeper, to Manchester City because Manchester City are really trying to get rid of Joe Hart. You know, he hasn't played. He played one game in the Champions League playoff last week. He hasn't played in the Premier League yet. He's been riding the bench behind Wilfred Caballero. I would say there's no way that by Wednesday Joe Hart is a member of Manchester City. He's going to be going somewhere else, just a matter of where. Okay. So they brought in Claudio Bravo to be that first-team keeper, and then Barcelona getting rid of Bravo, they need to bring in someone who can maybe challenge or play alongside Marc-Andre ter Stegen. So now Cillessen is that guy.
All right, last but not least, we have striker Paco Alcacev, from Valencia, heading to Barcelona as well. $30 million euros there. That's
quite a big transfer. I'm surprised Barcelona did that. Obviously, it is Barcelona. They do have the money.
Yeah, quite a bit of it.
For a guy who's just going to primarily be a backup, obviously they have Luis Suarez, Neymar,
never heard of
Lionel
those guys.
Messi. So
not ringing a bell.
Well, I'll just say this. They're pretty good. So for a guy who's going to be a backup, I'm surprised they paid the transfer fee they did. But after all, you do need reinforcements. You do need squad depth in case you have injuries or you need even just to rest guys, take a day off. So, I mean, hopefully it'll work out for him at Barcelona. He's going to a great, great club.
Yeah, I think as well with Barcelona. He's in a good position, to say the least.
Yeah.
Well, that does it for transfers. We're going to take our last break, and we're going to get into some recap of Premier League and some World Cup qualifiers, some friendlies and such that happened this past weekend. So we'll take that break, and we'll be right back here at the Golden State Media Concept Soccer Podcast.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And we're back here at the Golden State Media Concept Soccer Podcast. And we're going to now update you guys on some action from this weekend. Let's start with the British Premier League. How about that? Does that sound good?
Let's do it.
So we had some actions pretty much Saturday and Sunday this weekend. We're going to get into first Saturday's action. The Tottenham Hotspurs did draw with Liverpool 1-1. Chelsea handed it to Burnley 3-0, as you would say. Crystal Palace and AFC Bournemouth 1-1 draw. Everton beat Stoke City 1-0. Leicester City continued a win coming off of their championship season over Swansea City 2-1. Southampton and Sunderland, another draw 1-1. Arsenal did finally win there over Watford.
Let's not go there.
3-1. And Manchester United, with quite the game, defeated Hull City 1-0.
Yeah, goal from Marcus Rashford right in extra time, 93rd minute, right at the end of regulation.
It literally couldn't have been more of a last-second goal. We had a draw on Sunday from West Bromwich Albion and Middlesbrough, a 0-0. And Manchester City handled West Ham United 3-1.
Yeah, so what were some of your top takeaways from the weekend? I know you're obviously excited about the Man U game.
Yeah, watch the Man U game. It was a very entertaining game, to say the least. It's a little frustrating at times. You know, there's a lot of stuff, set pieces, things of that nature didn't come to fruition. But ultimately, a win is a win. They did play well. I thought against Hull City, you were right. You kind of called it. You know, they did give them a little bit of a run for their money. You know, this is a win. This is a game that you thought they maybe should have won more handedly, and it took more out of them than one would expect. I thought Arsenal played a good game for once, even with the win, Ben, you were still frustrated with a lot going on. I saw your tweets. 3-1 over Watford there.
Well, they played really good, but I'd say it was a tale of two halves. Arsenal really dominated in the first half. They were up 3-0 at the half. You had a penalty right away from Santi Cazorla go in. Alexis Sanchez scored a goal from across from Theo Walcott, and then Alexis provided an assist to Mesut Ozil, who got a header goal right at the end of the first half. So they played great in the first half, but then in the second half, it seemed like they kind of took their foot off the pedal. You know, they kind of eased up, and Watford really came back. You know, Watford scored pretty early in that second half, and then they could have had another goal. Igalo missed a bicycle kick. Petr Cech had to make a couple of really good saves for Arsenal. So at 3-1, it looks like it was a very easy result, but not really the case. You know, Watford kind of came back. Arsenal kind of took their foot off the pedal, as I'd say. But one person who really impressed me, besides Alexis Sanchez, was Granit Xhaka. He made his second start in the Premier League after starting last week against Leicester City, and he had an outstanding performance. I'd say he probably, with the exception of Alexis Sanchez, had the best performance at Arsenal this past weekend. He reminded me so much of, you know, that deep-lying midfielder, just playmaking. Someone like Patrick Vieira, Jabi Alonso, just in that deep-lying midfield role, just making great passes to the forwards.
All right, that's nice to hear. Any other games that stood out to you?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say Chelsea over Burnley. Burnley just did get promoted, but coming off of a 2-0 victory over Liverpool the week before, you looked at maybe they're just a team people are taking for granted, kind of flying under the radar. But Chelsea absolutely handled them, no hands down. Eden Hazard has his second goal of the Premier League already. That's something he had to do that he didn't get until April of last season. So
that's quite a long time.
You know, he's back. He's playing great under Antonio Conte, and Chelsea are really rolling along. They looked really, really dominant this weekend.
All right, that's good to see. Or at least good to hear, I should say, Ben. Okay, let's move into Bundesliga news.
Yeah, we had our first match day of the Bundesliga over the weekend.
Yeah, you could say that. I would say Bayern Munich handled business.
They did okay.
6-0 over Werder Bremen there.
Yeah, we had Robert Lewandowski with a hat trick, picking up right where they left off, as you'd probably expect the German champions to do so.
Yeah, they're very impressive in that win. I got to see some highlights. I didn't get to catch the game, but it was very, very nice to see. Moving to Saturday's action, it was a very big day in soccer. If you like both leagues, it was quite a busy day. Borussia Dortmund did defeat Mainz 2-1. We move on to FC Augsburg, who did lose 2-0 to VfL Wolfsburg. We have Eintracht Frankfurt 1-0 over Schalke.
Kind of a surprising result there.
Yeah, I didn't expect that, especially 1-0. You expect Schalke to at least get a goal there, but unfortunately they did not. FC Cologne 2-0 over SV Darmstadt. Hamburg and FC Olgenstadt did draw at 1-1. And Borussia Mönchengladbach did defeat Bayern Leverkusen 2-1. I would say 1-0.
I was surprised at that result too. We talked about on last week's episode. That was probably the biggest match day one of the Bundesliga. I expected Bayer Leverkusen to come out on top, but I mean they are missing Javier Hernandez Chicharito with an injury, so he's a big part of their offense. He had a good season last year for Leverkusen.
Yeah, it's quite a piece missing, you could say. And then Sunday as well, last day of games for them, moving up until Friday, and that is Hertha Berlin did get a win over SC Freiburg 2-1. And then a draw between TSG Hoffenheim and RB Leipzig 2-2 in full time there. So quite a big weekend in soccer, you could say. And we have even more leading up next week. We have some international friendlies as well leading into this week. Am I correct in that statement, Ben?
Yeah, we have some international friendlies. We have World Cup qualifying in the Americas, North America, South America. So we are on the international break, which is kind of unfortunate. We are just getting back into the thick of things with club football. And then we take a week break. It kind of sucks, but still we have some international games which we had all summer that were great.
Yeah, well, starting September 1st, which is this Thursday, we have Belgium and Spain, as well as Italy and France. And the following day we have quite a few games: U.S. St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Yeah, that's one game we're obviously looking at here in the United States. It is World Cup qualifying out in Group C. Yeah. So Trinidad and Tobago do lead the group currently with 10 points through 4 games. United States have 7 points. We have Guatemala at 6 points. And then St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I feel like that's really just a band name. It's obviously a country, but that would be a great band name. You have like Vinny, whatever his last name is, and then his band's the Grenadines. So that would be great, wouldn't it?
Vinny and the Grenadines.
But they are currently in last place in the group with 0 points and a goal differential of -16. Yeah. I would expect the United States to come away with 3 points pretty easily. So and it'd be really important, with Guatemala only 1 point behind them at 6 as they try and qualify for the World Cup.
Yeah, maybe Vinny and the Grenadines should focus a little bit more on some soccer and not so much some songs,
Well, I mean, that's what I said. I doubt they really have a national group.
Yeah, they do. You don't know.
That would be great. I mean, that would be. It'd be cool.
That'd be fun, yeah. Headline, World Soccer Team quits soccer, makes band. Starts band. That'd be pretty cool, right?
Yeah, we have so many more games over the weekend, so some great World Cup qualifying games.
To me, another fun week in football, except the fact that, we got to take a week off. But other than that, should be fun, right?
Yeah, and we have some great games coming back out of the international break. Obviously, the game that you're going to be paying attention to, I should say, and the game I really think the whole world will be, is we have on September 10th, we have the Manchester Derby. We have Man United and Man City, currently both joint top of the group, both with 9 points. They won all 3 of their games so far. Going to be a very, very important game early on in the Premier League season. We have the first Jose Mourinho, Pep Guardiola battle. Early predictions, I don't really know. It looks like Sergio Aguero, the Argentinian striker, could miss that game. He has an injury. He's pulled out of the World Cup qualifying games for Argentina over this international break. Without him there, it could be pretty tough. We'll have to wait and see and keep you updated here on his injury as well. I think City are probably a better team than Man United right now, though. I'm sorry. I know I hate to do that.
Words.
I hate to do it, but I got to be honest here.
Those are fighting words. All right, well, I think it's time for us to go.
I think we had a great show. Obviously talked a lot about the Champions League, the Europa League, a lot of the transfer rumors and confirmed deals. Transfer window closes on Wednesday. Do you think we'll see any deadline magic? We've seen it in the past.
I like to say we will because I think that's where the drama exists.
We've seen Mesut Ozil go to Arsenal on transfer deadline day. Last year we had Anthony Martial go from Monaco to Man United. So there is definitely a possibility still.
You got to keep me updated, and we'll keep you guys updated next week on our episode of the GSMC football or soccer podcast.
Yeah, for next week, we're definitely going to have to do a winners and losers of the transfer deadline, recap some of the international games over the weekend, and then preview some even more great games like the Manchester Derby, which we did a little bit just right now.
That's true. We did.
And everything else that's soccer related.
Yeah, and for everything else soccer related, obviously you can visit us at gsmcpodcast.com, where you can find our soccer podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play at the GSMC Soccer Podcast. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at GSMC_soccer, as well as on YouTube at the GSMC Soccer Podcast. You can search that on on Facebook as well, and find us there. For Ben, I would like to thank you guys for listening. I'm Alex. And that's Ben. Don't forget.
Yes,
don't
I
forget
am
him.
Ben.
He's the most important part of the show.
Oh, stop it, you.
And we will see you guys next Monday. Have a good week. Watch football. And be good.